So the Seahawks this next week will be taking on the Eagles at home in what could be a very pivotal game for the Seahawks. They are currently 7th in the NFC, and as you guys both know, they need to be in the top 6 if they are going to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very important game looking at the way the two teams matched up. Of course, the Eagles have had a stellar season. They're 10-1 right now. Seahawks sit at 7-4. Offensively, the Eagles are averaging 394 yards a game to the Seahawks 337, which isn't too bad as well. Yards allowed per game, though, the Eagles are allowing 310 yards per game, while the
So
while the Seahawks are allowing 330.
Christian was saying before, or during break, that the both offensively and rushing wise and passing wise, the Eagles are outgaining the Hawks by 20 yards, right?
Yeah, I mean, for team totals both ways, it's about 20 yards the wrong way if you're a Seahawks fan, because the Eagles are doing better than the Seahawks are in gaining yards and keeping teams from gaining yards. So should be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, I think this has to be one of the bigger games of the season so far for the Hawks. I mean, every game from here on out is going to be big, but especially this one, just because the Eagles are the best team in the NFC and all of football right now. And so just on that fact, it is a huge game, Sunday night football game at that too. So it'll be interesting to see the Eagles' defensive line against the Hawks' offensive line, because I know with the combination of Chris Long, Fletcher Cox, and others, that Eagles' defensive line is a force to be reckoned with. And if the Hawks are to win, they're going to have to control that battle up front.
So what do you guys think? Do you think they can get it this week? They're going to win?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. This is a tough one because we've lost the last two games at home by 3 points. I know we had that conversation of, are the Hawks, is home field advantage an actual advantage? I don't want to be a homer here, but I think the Hawks...
Really?
I think we're well past that point.
This is new.
Because, you want to be fair, and I want to say the Hawks are going to win, but there's just something in me that I think the Eagles are gonna get this one again, and the Hawks lose 3 straight at home. I don't know the score. I'm not going to predict the score, but I think, like I said, I think the Eagles get it done.
I think the Eagles are a very, very tough matchup, but I think the most fun part about this matchup is if the defense plays well, the conversation will start to shift as to, is Richard Sherman overrated? Because if a team can do just fine without a quote-unquote star, then is he really a star?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it against the Falcons. When the Seahawks played the Falcons on Monday night, yes, the Seahawks gave up, 31 or 34 points, but it just as easily could have been 20.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a fumble that was returned by the Falcons for a touchdown, and there was, another fumble that I think it put the Falcons on the 10-yard line, and they waltzed in and scored a touchdown from the 10. I mean, that's a pretty solid defensive effort against a pretty good, an offense that hasn't been what it was again, but it had the weapons to be, very good.
Yeah.
Again, they romped the 49ers, but that we kind of everyone expected that. If they come out, the Seattle Seahawks defense, and comes out and plays well, I think the conversation will shift to talk about Richard Sherman being overrated as a cornerback, and Kam Chancellor, maybe not being as good as we thought he was.
Yeah, I don't think overrated is the right word to say. I think maybe just a changing of the color guard there in Seattle, because Sherman has been a Hall of Fame cornerback in his years here in Seattle. And I think he has been investing in the young guys, and that investing is coming to fruition here, and you can see it in these last couple of weeks. These young guys can play, and as far as Kam Chancellor, I think you could go as he's a great player. His significance isn't being felt or the significance of his loss isn't being felt as much as it is for losing Sherman. I think Seth.
That's like the definition of overrated, though.
Yeah, but if you have, I don't want to say he's overrated though, because if you have him in there, that just makes that greater of an impact because of the way he can come down and play the run. Really, he's a speedy linebacker out there playing strong safety, and when you have that presence going across the middle and you know that Kam Chancellor is right there waiting for you to catch the ball so he can just annihilate you, that's scary, and that sticks in the mind of wide receivers and tight ends. I know it does for Vernon Davis running across the middle.
Give us a call, 253-535-7332. Again, our number is 253-535-7332. Seth, you have thoughts on if what the Seahawks are missing right now defensively maybe is less of a deal than we thought it was? I mean, I could be wrong. Eagles can come in here and hang 45 points on the team just as easy, and I could be looking like a dork next week. But like,
we all have looked like dorks at some point.
I don't know. I mean, I keep waiting for the Eagles to collapse. I don't think it's going to happen at this point. As far as the Seattle defense goes, yeah, they're looking all right with the guys that they have in there right now filling in. I mean, I think they could do a little bit better if they had their superstars out there. I mean, Kam Chancellor makes a huge difference in the run game and the pass game, which you can't say about very many safeties. And I mean, you have entire games where teams aren't throwing it at Richard Sherman simply because he's such a lockdown corner. I think they are definitely missing that to an extent.
Definitely, and those teams are good and good quarterbacks. Like Aaron Rodgers, for example,
Yeah.
a couple years ago didn't throw Sherm's way.